Okay. I've started the recording. Good evening, everyone. So it's nice we are starting on time so that we'll have enough time to finish all the topics. It seems today's topic is very interesting. So we'll have enough time to dissect it properly. Okay, I will share my screen. I hope you can hear me. Can you hear me, Stephen?
Yes, I can hear you clearly.
Okay, so I will share my screen so that we can start immediately. All right. For those of us that are just joining us for the first time, my name is Johnson. Johnson Wala is my name. And I'm a chartered member of IOSH and also a member of IRSM. So we are having a health and safety interactive workshop that we hold every Thursday by 6 p.m. And we've been on it for more than 2 months now. We've never missed a day. So we have a lot of topics we've covered so far. So if you want to look at the topics we've discussed so far, just check any of our channels, either YouTube, Safeoclock, or Facebook, Safeoclock. You'll find the topic we've discussed so far. So today we have an interesting topic that we'll be looking at: risk associated with e-bikes and scooters. So like we all know, this seems like a new technology in the transportation industry, and many countries are jumping into it. So as health and safety professionals, we want to start looking at the risk associated with this, even while there are not yet, many countries have not yet developed a legal framework to legalize its use or to control the use of e-bikes and scooters. But from health and safety perspective, we'll be dissecting what could go wrong and how we think people should be safe while using these e-bikes. Okay, so that is what we are discussing today. And as usual, I will not be talking alone. We'll be discussing it, and we'll be giving room for questions and answers. We'll be giving room for contributions so that everyone will understand. So if you have anything to contribute, just simply raise your hand and the time and the opportunity will come for you to contribute. All right, with that being said, let's go straight into the topic of the day. Okay. First, what do we even talk about in electric scooters? What are electric scooters? The picture on the screen is a typical example of the scooters. There are different designs out there. Even some of the scooters have a seat where people can, where the rider can sit. So there are different designs out there. So this is just a typical example because we are not marketing any product here. So these are simply devices with 2 or 3 wheels. They have handles and they have footboards. Most of the times people stood while riding the scooters. Okay, so this is what we mean by scooters. As we keep talking about scooters, this is exactly what we mean. And I know that you must have seen it. All right, so let's talk about the statistics, incident statistics so far involving electric scooters. So as health and safety professionals, we are dissecting the risk associated with use of electric scooters. But before we go into this, we need to examine what has gone wrong so far. We need to talk about the statistics of the incident that has been reported so far so that we understand the gravity of the risk associated with use of electric scooters. Okay. In Singapore, their statistics says that each week, about 3 accidents involving electric scooters and other public mobility devices. 3 each week in Singapore. This is statistics. Okay. So this definitely means that the incident rate in the use of electric scooters and public mobility devices is getting high in Singapore. All right. Now in UK, in London especially, the statistics says that in between 2021, January and June 2021, they've recorded about 258 collisions involving electric scooters. Okay, then in the whole of 2020, they recorded about 266 incidents involving scooters. Then in 2019, they recorded 38 incidents. And in 2018, they recorded 9 incidents. So can you see that the statistics, the number of these incidents is increasing? In 2019, it was about 38. 2018, it increased to 266. And between June and January 2021, it got to 258. Okay, so these figures keeps increasing. It's getting higher. This simply means that we might be facing a higher incident rates as the use of scooters keeps increasing, as people keep adopting this as a means of transportation. Okay, what are the regulations so far in use of electric scooters? In UK, for example, I could not see any regulation specifically for use of electric scooters and electric bikes. Okay. But in US, there are shady laws or regulations, not yet specific about use of scooters, but in different states in the United States, it's legal to use scooters as far as you are maintaining a maximum speed of 20 mph. Okay, and as far as the electric motor is less than 750 watts. Okay, my source is there, it's showing on your screen. Okay, so this might vary in different states in the United States of America. So in Qatar so far, there is no law already stipulated for use of electric scooters. So this means mode of transportation is still evolving. So there are still different deliberations are still ongoing in different countries. So that is why, from health and safety perspective, we need to come in a bit to ensure that people are kept safe and to ensure that people understand that there are risks associated with use of electric scooters until the law becomes so clear on how, what you need to do and what you need not to do while using the electric bikes and scooters. Okay, now let's talk about why we think that they are very dangerous. Why do you think that electric scooters are very dangerous? Apart from the statistics we've seen so far, let's use common sense and talk about what exactly makes electric scooters higher in risk than other means of transportation. Okay, one is that the rider themselves are highly at risk because these electric scooters are unstable in the sense that the stability is very low because of the weight. Is lightweight. Okay, the net is running on only 2 wheels. So this is why the stability is very low. is very low instability, and there's a possibility of being thrown over. Okay, that is why it's a very risky mode of transportation. Now, another why it's very risky is because of the type of injury that the rider could face if he gets involved in any incident. The first one is a brain injury or concussion. Okay, because of the instability of these scooters, there is possibility of being thrown over, and when the rider is being thrown over, there is high risk of him hitting his head on the ground. And when he hits the head on the ground, what is on the head? The brain. And if the brain gets affected, we know that a lot of systems in the body gets affected at the same time. Okay, what do we mean by concussion? Concussion simply means is a mind-head injury which affects your brain function just temporarily. So if the rider hits his head on the ground, temporarily the function of the brain could get altered. It could get a brain injury that maybe at that point he could get up and start running to where he doesn't know. And in the process, he could get hit by other vehicles or other road users. So that is why scooter is one of the most dangerous modes of transportation. And I'm certain that the laws and the regulations that will be coming in place will deal with the safety measures of use of scooters and electric bikes. Okay, another risk associated with use of electric scooters is fracture or dislocation. Okay, there could be a broken bone because of the instability of the scooters. When the rider falls off, it could break any of the bones, either in the hand or in the leg or anywhere. It could fracture the bones. It could also have dislocations. Okay, and if he collided with someone else, the person could also get affected. Fractures, dislocations could result in the process. Okay, so there are other things that we'll be discussing as the time goes on, as other people contribute. We'll be talking about the control measures, what could be done to prevent injuries, or how we could minimize incidents involving scooters. Okay, I will not be talking much at this stage. I will give the stage open for someone else to contribute, and I will come in later in the process. Okay.
Can you give me access to share my screen, if possible?
Yes, you have access now. Go ahead.
Okay. Good evening, everyone. For those that do not know me per se, my name is Steven Francis. I'm a chartered member of IOSH and also a member of Gloria RSM. Yeah, based on the topic that we'll be discussing today, Mr. Johnson have really said a lot. I will just be bringing in some other aspects, which that is why I want to like share the screen so that at least while I run through, we can have a better picture of what it's all about. Okay, so you see, from the introduction, we know that there's a purpose for this presentation, which is to discuss professionally the risks associated with the use of scooters and e-bikes. Okay? So now, when we look at the overview of the rise in popularity, we could discover that e-bike and e-scooter are becoming increasingly popular globally, and most are powered by the lithium-ion battery, which can be charged in many homes. Now, the use of this battery in a wide range of household products are becoming also increasing. So, and the e-bike and e-scooter surge. There was a surge within I think the second quarter of 2020. There was a dramatic increase of e-scooter around the world. So now we need to understand this e-scooter and e-bike, right? And technically, they are known as motorized micromobility device. There are different names that are being given and all that. So, and as I said, they are all powered by electricity through the lithium battery. Okay, so, and this same battery are what powers our phones and all that. That is why sometimes you see our mobile phones, when you expose it to some certain condition, or when you are charging it, it gets exploded and it catch fire. So we've seen situations like that. So same thing can happen to the e-bike and e-scooter as well. Okay, so now I would just want to emphasize on the benefits, for example. Now, looking at the benefits, because there's a reason why people are using it more often than other means of transportation. Okay, because it solves most of the biggest challenges that we face out there in terms of mobility. And it saves users money and allow them easier access to transportation to ease their use and all that. So when you look at the key advantages, we discover that there's globally, in terms of environmental friendly nature, it has this carbon reduction level, as compared to car and other means of transportation. So it's when you're talking about global warming issue, you're talking about all those things, I think it will be encouraged at this point to be able to patronize the use of electronic bike or scooter. Now, looking at in terms of affordability and accessibility, it's very cheap and easy to access, okay, as compared to other means of movement in terms of you getting a car and things like that. So, and in some other part of the world, some states, some country, it depends, but there are not enough, like Mr. Johnson has said, there's no regulation. Most countries, what they have is like a guidance document, which can really advise people or the public for the use. And there is no much record in terms of licensing from different jurisdictions about the use of e-bike and e-scooter. So all these things, we're looking at them at the mitigation strategy. Now, also, with the use of scooter, it has helped to reduce congestion within cities. Okay, like when you go to the urban area, okay, so you discover that because people normally use other means of transportation, so you find out that there's a lot of congestion, a lot of traffic jam and all that. But with the use of this scooter, at least it reduces the number of people who uses vehicle on the road, thereby reducing congestion. And also, it is less noisy. So when you're looking about the environmental aspect in terms of pollution, noise pollution, it has less noise. So looking at all these things, these are just some few, not to measure all the benefits that we can get from using this electric bike and scooter. And also it has a low maintenance cost as compared to cars and other means of transportation. Now, I just want to look at the risks which are associated with this. With my next slide, I'll be giving us some statistical figure that I took around within the US and that of the United Kingdom. So now, when you look at the risk, there's a risk associated to property damage. And based on the statistical figure we have globally, you discover that there is always property damage in terms of fire and explosion. And they are basically caused through when you are charging this device, also the way we store the device in terms of storage and disposal of possibly the battery. Because when the battery gets fault, when we don't dispose it properly, also it can result to explosion. So there are a lot of information we can find from the internet regarding all this. I'll just be giving us some summary about that as well. So when you look at about, there are risks associated with the riders. Okay, injury like bone fracture, which can either affect the head or other body extremity due to collision, just like as Mr. Johnson have tried to expatiate on that. Okay, now we look at the reason why these things happen. Okay, now there are non-use of helmets, excessive riding speed, and drink riding. Also, we have brake problem, which are related to the electronic control system of the e-bike and e-scooter. All these things can predispose the riders to collision. And also another risk factor we find is that inexperience, and also when the riders are under the influence of alcohol, and this has been widely reported by a fact sheet of the Center for Accident and Research and Road Safety in Queensland. Now, we also have a risk associated with the pedestrian. Okay, so sometimes we will look, even in Qatar, you see, there are places some people just, there are some areas that are not designated, but people just park, tie their scooters, just park it like that. So sometimes we will have a kind of a pedestrian just get, contact with these scooters on the footpath, and by then they can just find themselves on the floor or on the road. So, and also the risks to other users, other road users and public. Sometimes there's an interaction, because I normally observe there was one incident I almost wanted to happen when I was coming to work like that. Between the traffic lights, there's a scooter. So this guy was even using his other hands-free or whatever, or thereabout. So I don't know. So, but thank God nothing happened. So sometimes there's always this interaction between the users and also those who are working within the public road and all that. So this can also create a potential factor for accident. So lastly, when we look at it, there's also another risk associated with these injuries, collision and all that, when we have uneven road surface. Sometimes you have potholes, maybe debris being dumped on the side of the road. In some part of the world, the environmental issues are not properly taken care like the way it is in Qatar. So we find a lot of factors like this being contributing to the risk of all these accidents we've talked about. So now, I just want to take us through some statistics, like this within the United States. This was a research by the Consumer Product Safety Commission. They found out that there were, in their emergency department, they found out that there were a lot of accident number associated with e-scooters, to be specified on this. Now, when in 2017, they recorded 7,700 accidents, emergency case in the department, okay? Now, with one fatality. Then in 2018, you could see the rise, almost times two. We have about 14,500 in 2018 with 5 fatalities. Then go down to 2019, there were 27,700 in 2019 with 21 fatality respectively. So this growing rate of incidents or fatality should give us a concern, especially as a professional. If other people are not seeing it, we should be seeing it in a different way. Then when we go back to Austin Public Health Department that identified 190 e-scooter rider injury in their city. This now is just the city within Austin, okay, in the United States. So over just a 3-month period, there were about 35% of victims sustained bone fracture. And we have 80 of the injury were classified as severe cases. Now, only 1 out of 190 injured riders were wearing helmets. So we could see that the safety gears are very, very important for the users. Okay, when we come down to this, there's a research work that was carried on. We could just see from the graph how, based on age, we have between 15 to 24, 25 to 39, 40 to 64 years. We could see how the research was carried on between 2014 to 2019, how the number were increasing of people who were taken to the emergency department within the US. So it's for us to know how dangerous how highly risky this use of scooter and electric bikes are, in as much as it has its own benefits. Now, when we come down to the United Kingdom, I think they had their first tragic loss was in 2019. You could see the name Emily Patridge, which was the first British e-scooter fatality that was recorded, which was recorded in 2019. Now, the London Fire Brigade reported fire caused by e-bike and e-scooters in this respective figure. They had about 8 in 2019, 24 in 2020, and 59 by December 2021. Here we are talking about fire. We are not talking about fracture or maybe collision and all that. This record or report is based on fire incidents. Okay, so because this UK statistic, I'm basing it on fire. Then for the data of the US, I was just emphasizing on collision between the riders and the public. Now, you could see that there are fire spark by 40 e-bike and e-scooter have injured at least 190 people in the United Kingdom and killed 8 people. Like I said, fire. So, and firefighters have put out blazes from 40 e-bike and e-scooter every 2 days since the start of this year, 2023. So we could understand the implication and the risk. I think the risk is more than even using cars on the road, if I will put it that way. Though I stand to be corrected, because I don't have the statistic record on that, using other means of transportation. I've judged that, but men looking at this is really frightening, because when you look at this picture, you can find out that the e-bike and e-scooter fire recorded by 38 UK Fire and Rescue Service, who responded to Guardian Freedom of Information request. You can see the trend from 2020, 2021, 2022, up to 2023, and there's a forecast for the entire year that it will hit about 380 fire. Okay, so as at January to April, they had about 120 cases. So now, as a professional, most of our functions are advisory, and to an extent, enforcement. So I think it is very important that there's an enhanced rider safety information, instruction, education, training programs, such as awareness campaign. It is very, very important for people who use and other people who share the same road with them. And also, when we look at, there should be a proper information and instruction regarding the purchase, use, charging, storage, and disposal of this device. Because most people, what caused this fire incident most of the time is that the way people charge it, people overcharge it, and people charge it with also faulty sockets and all that. And we know that lithium battery is a very kind of explosive kind of battery. So all these areas need to be emphasized. There should be a lot of campaign within the public space, and also safety gear requirements and promoting their use. This information, all this instruction, this education, trainings about all these things need to be communicated. Okay, and also there should be, within the local authorities and policymakers, they should establish a kind of a clear regulation, as there are little or no clear regulation and enforcement in some jurisdictions around the world. So basically, government should also collaborate with occupational safety and health professional bodies to establish policy, guidance, and regulation towards reducing the associated risks as discussed or said. And also, infrastructure improvement to also accommodate e-scooters and e-bike. Because if you have a bad road, the chances, the rate of accidents of using this mobility device will also increase. And most of the statistics we've gotten so far are for countries who have good road network. So when we look at country who does not have a good road network, then we could try to imagine what could probably happen. And also, government should be encouraged to also introduce a kind of licensing program from the manufacturer down to the sellers and the rider as well, so that one can be able to regulate and also place the liability issues, so that because sometimes accident might happen, you might want to blame the riders, but you might not know that, okay, the fault is coming from the manufacturer, the fault might be coming from the sellers or the renters and things like that. So there should be a clear picture about these liability issues, so that whatever happens, you know what to face. Just like with that work, especially when you work in the construction, and for example, they bring in an equipment, a lifting equipment that if you have done all what you need to do as a safety professional, and maybe the company who inspected this equipment did not do their job properly, but from you looking at the document, everything was said and done, and you approved them to use. And at the end of the day, an accident occurred, and when they do a proper investigation, you might find out that this equipment was faulty. Okay, so then they can fall back to the third-party company who inspected this equipment. So that is why these liability issues and all that need to be implemented and introduced. Thank you very much. If there's any other questions, we'll have to deliberate on that. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Stephen. You have done justice to the topic, and thank everybody that is still there. So I'll bring on Mr. Jamil. Jamil, are you there?
Hi, good evening, everyone. Yes, Mr. Stephen, Mr. Johnson, I'm here. Thank you very much for giving this opportunity to talk on this seminar regarding the risk with e-bike and electric scooters. That's a very important topic. Before I proceed, I just want to confirm you guys can hear me clearly.
Yes, we can hear you. Are you sharing screen?
I'm going to share screen, yes.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay, gentlemen, like Mr. Johnson and Mr. Stephen mentioned already, that it's a new transportation that is being used around the world, no matter if the country is developed or it comes under developing countries, it is commonly used. And the intention or the idea behind bringing this new transportation mode was to decrease the consumption of fossil fuels and use the renewable energy sources, because like two speakers said already that it is not that much costly and it is not that much consuming the petrol, gasoline, or the coal. It is on the rechargeable batteries, which is normally recharged by the renewable energy sources. So, okay. Let me share the screen, please. Okay. Well, in different part of the world, the usage of electric scooter and e-bikes are getting increased. And with the increase of this business, definitely the number of accidents are also getting increased. People are getting hurt. Different type of injuries are associated with the use of these electric bike or scooters. So definitely consumers are having questions now that what are the common causes and how we can prevent from these type of accident and injuries. Like we already discussed so many statistics related to these accident and injuries when we are using these electric bike and scooters.
If you share screen, we are not seeing your screen. Check it.
You are not seeing my screen. Just let me know once my screen is back.
Yes.
Now?
Okay,
Okay,
now.
okay. Apologize for this issue. The number of electric scooter related accident varies by the location and reporting methods, and it also varies on the user's behavior. But the recent study from US Consumer Product Safety Commission found approximately 27,000 e-scooter related injuries were reported between 2017 and 2019 in the United States alone. Remember, these are high number of accidents, particularly with regards to e-scooter and bike in one single country in just a couple of years. And again, these are the incident or injuries those who are reported. But think about many others, those went unreported. So probably these number would be much more higher than what we are seeing here. So that's a concern now for the consumer and for the people, those who are using these electric bike and scooters, that how we can prevent while we are using these type of transportation. So I'll go through the main causes of the accident related to e-scooters and bikes. Okay. The number one is distracted driving. Many scooter riders assume that because scooters are smaller and slower, it is safe to look at their mobile phone, which is not the case. These riders should remember that they are not alone on the road. They are sharing road with the pedestrians, with the other scooters, with a lot of vehicles around them, and they are at greater risk. Same as somebody who's driving a car, he's using mobile phone, he's distracted. Also, these e-bike and scooter users are also at the greater risk. Scooter riders that use cell phone, they do not only put themselves at risk, but they also endanger the other pedestrian, those who are around them. When scooter rider crash into something or somebody, they damage whatever or whoever come in contact. They are not made of concrete, of course. They can also get injured, and they end up with heads and neck injuries, which is one of the most common injury that is being reported with related to e-bike and scooter related accident. And the second common cause of electric scooter accident is road hazard. When we talk about road hazard, there are different type of road hazard which we all are using vehicles on daily basis and we are encountering, but it becomes worse for the electric bike and scooter users because uh, many drivers do not realize that how small scooters are compared to a car or even a bike. Scooter cannot handle potholes or unexpected drops or even a hard bumper. Cars, yes, they have shock absorber and the driver is sitting in a safe cabin. They can adjust their body, they can control their self, but bikes and scooter users are not. Hitting a road hazard of any kind often causes a scooter operator to lose their control, which will eventually end up fall. And this fall may bring different type of injury. Nature of injury depends upon on their speed, that how faster they are operating it, or if there is any other vehicle or any other scooter is coming behind them. Normally, if they fall on a road, it is a serious accident because the driver behind them, they are not expecting them to fall, but all of a sudden, just because of the pothole or any obstruction on the road, cause them to fall. And it may cause into a serious accident. Then the next, which is very common, driving under the influence of alcohol. Well, according to the study from the Trauma Surgery and Acute Care Center, nearly 40% of electric scooter accidents are caused by someone driving under the influence. It's a quite big number, 40%. Many of them assume that they are safe to drive a scooter while intoxicated. Why? Because they think that it is light and it is slow to drive, which is a false assumption. However, riding an electric scooter requires greater balance and coordination than riding a car. A drunk scooter driver will almost certainly lose their balance and likely to crash into someone. Okay. Intoxicated drivers are not only the problem, though. Driver operating car under the influence are also more likely to cause a scooter accident. A drunk driver could run a red light or simply fail to see a scooter sharing the road. That may cause a serious collision. Okay. And the next common cause of the use of electric scooter accident is lane splitting. This is another risky behavior that could
Jamil, can you check your microphone? We can't hear you. Hello, Jamil. Okay, I think Jamil had network issue. So before Jamil comes to continue, I'll call on someone else to contribute while Jamil is getting ready. Femi, are you ready?
Yes, I'm fully ready. Hi, everyone. I'm Olufemi by name, Olufemi Ayokunle Ajayi. And I will just be saying, I won't say less, I will just share my own quota. Because so far, I've learned from the previous speakers, and they've done a good job from regulations to the risk involved and the like. So I will just be speaking, so not to take much of our time, like most of my preparation has been said, so I won't be going like repeating again. So I'll just talk about how safe is a scooter. I'm not sharing a screen actually. So how safe is a scooter for kids? Based on my little findings, I learned to understand that the children under the age of 5 should never use a scooter because we believe they are still toddlers and there's a high chance of them falling while they are riding the scooter, and they might not be able to fully control it whenever it's in motion. So it is not, a parent should show the safety features of a scooter to a child. That's the one that is above 8 years old before he rides on one, and certainly he or she must be wearing the full gear, which are the helmet, the guards on all the joints here. So what are the risks that is associated with scooter, like other speakers have said? Road defects, it's one of the main or high risk that is associated with the scooter. And people that are using it are also vulnerable to, as in the other users that are also vulnerable of this risk. And I'll talk about the safety of the batteries. Are the batteries of the scooter safe? Like Mr. Steven, as he really talk about that, like ponder on it very well. It's if it's overcharged, it is not fully safe. Because while they are incredibly convenient and reliable, batteries can also be dangerous if they are not used properly. And battery fires are very hazardous and can cause serious damage to our properties. And the cause of like, why is it like that? Is that most times people, the users of these scooters and e-bikes, they will want to maybe charge it overnight. Maybe after using for a day, they will plug it and they will go to sleep. And most of these fires, based on the findings and the records in the reports that have been shared so far, I've read also, happen mostly at night. Mostly at night. When people are sleeping, they'll just put it maybe, and the battery will just ignite the fire. So I will just talk about the simple safety rules to remember when you are using a scooter. Number one is ensure you obey the traffic laws. Whenever you are driving the scooter, make sure you are not maneuvering lanes, where it's required for you to cross the road, use the same where the pedestrians are expected to use. Don't just cross the road based on, I've seen it happening in Doha many times I'm driving. Those users will be navigating the road with even with car users, which is not really safe to do. PPE is very, very important. Then whenever you are going down the hill, like maybe slopey area, ensure that you take very good care. Then when you are driving, keep your ears open. Don't be on the phone. Most riders, most users, They will be using hands-free, putting their phone, and then they are not concentrating on what they are driving. They will be maybe talking, or even some they will be having like a phone stand. They'll put it in their front, and they will be riding as well. I've seen many of it in here. So it's not really safe. Then when you're driving, ensure you are keeping both hands. Even the car users, it's to avoid an accident. It's better to be driving your both hands. So where you are driving a scooter or riding one, so it's very safe for you to be riding with both hands to avoid any incident that can occur. Then keep out for obstructions and be extra careful in bad weather, especially maybe the weather is maybe windy or stormy. Should be very, and most importantly, users should familiarize themselves with the manual. Ensure you understand how it works, how to write it, what happens when you are maybe having some, you are feeling something or maybe a sound is coming and it's not normal. So those are the things that scooter users should be look out for, and they should check for the tires, probably in the morning or before riding it, maybe after work, coming home, stuff like that. So they should ensure they check the tires, and users should avoid navigating or standing between cars. That in particular part is easy for them to be crushed, or I don't know the way they are driving in this part of the world. I'm sure it's not like that in another part of the world. If you are a scooter rider and you want to try and navigate between cars and door, it's going to be a fatal one, because we have some Formula One drivers and they are driving on a normal road there in Doha. So it is and mostly at night. If you are a regular user of a scooter or e-bike, please ensure you are wearing your reflective jacket so it can reflect whenever you are driving. So keep people aware, because by the time you are driving, and it's mainly at night, so it's not really a safe thing to do for or scooter users. So I will just be yielding back to Mr. Johnson. Most of my points has been, so I don't want to be going over it again. So that's why I just extracted the little that it's a very good topic that you brought up today. Thank you. That's my contribution.
Thank you very much, Mr. Femi. You've thought about a lot of things, especially the safety measures that the rider have to take. So thank you so much for your contribution. I'll be giving over to Mr. Andrew to make his contribution.
Yeah, thank you very much, Justin. Good to have all of you here. Thank you for this opportunity. And it's really a good topic, just as Mr. Femi just said, because I will not be sharing my slide anymore, because most of the point has been covered. Let it not be like a repetition. So let's look at the issue, because being on the path of the law is very important, because these days, as every speaker have pointed out, the growing popularity and the benefits that people see from the use of this scooter, the environmental benefits, the financial benefits, the easy access, and all that in terms of personal income and easy means of transportation for individuals. But what is the law saying? This is very important. Just as many countries globally have not put down legislation to guide the use of scooter, but I believe in some other parts of the world there are little regulation. These scooters are not legally designed for the roads, major roads, like the carriageway for vehicles. So you should bear in mind as a user that when you are driving on a major road with e-scooter, if accident happens, what rights would you claim? Because you don't have the insurance cover, they have no registration for foot e-scooter yet, there are no licensing for e-scooter yet. What if, for instance, I am using the e-scooter and I got into accident? What claim can I make? What insurance cover? These are what individuals, users should look at. Because if a vehicle had a crash with an e-scooter user, the vehicle has a license, is legally certified to use the road, it has insurance cover. So when it goes to the court of law, what's proof with the victim claim? So we should look at that, and every user, that is why this campaign is very important. You should know the road you are applying when you are using the e-scooter. If it is public road for motor carriageway, you driving or riding on your foot e-scooter or your e-bike that is not licensed, you are not protected by the law. This should be a mindset that should be sold out to individuals at this time, because people may not know, like when things happen, they will say ignorance of the law is not an excuse. Am I right? So this individual should look at this aspect. So no, like me personally, I think I have some phobia when it comes regards to driving on the scooter, especially even the bicycle per se. But when we compare the e-scooter and the e-bike, you see, sometimes when you are riding on the e-bike, that one has a pedal, right? And has a motorized system. If the motorized system fail or the electrical system fail, the battery fail, you can easily pedal and go your way, right? But the other foot riding stuff, when it fails on the road, what happens? You have to carry the thing on the head or even invite a truck to transport you to your destination. So all these are the factors the user have to look at as well. So it is very important. And now, presently, from my little study, Qatar is now looking at it. The government operators of authority are now looking at it because of the public outcry. Hammond, for instance, have recorded a lot of incidents involving this e-scooter recently, and they also calling out for regulation, and government should come in so that there should be a way of minimizing the incidents that will result from e-scooter, because as it's growing, the popularity of e-scooter, the use of e-scooter and this e-bike is growing among users, there are chances that the incident will be increasing because people don't know the laws behind it. They don't know they are carried away. Some people can even take it as fun driving on the main road, on the major road, while competing with vehicles. Even driving bike on the road, which the bike is licensed because it has a regulation. So even bikes are even regulated, and they are very also a bit careful. And bike accident is also on the increase. So now we are bringing in e-scooter. We are also looking at the design of the road and the safety of the road. So the traffic law has not been able, or there's no traffic law protecting the right of a scooter, or legally, it is legal to ride on the major road with this foot scooter and even bike, because they are not licensed. That's my little contribution, and I believe I've learned from every speaker here, and it's a great opportunity. Thank you.
All right. Thank you very much, Mr. Andrew, for your contribution. We've all talked a lot about these e-scooters. In the actual sense of it, in one of my workplace during the FIFA World Cup, we recorded a very serious incident involving a scooter. One of the supervisors was using the scooter to run around and do sorts of things, and in the process, he fell off. He fell off the scooter because he applied the brake suddenly. Then in the process, he fell off and he broke his knee. So he didn't witness the end of the World Cup. He was in the hospital. He was hospitalized for more than 7 days. So I have a first-hand experience in this incident involving scooter, that because I was involved in the investigation. So scooter incident is increasing, just like we've seen, just like the statistics we've seen is increasing. So the campaign should increase. As health and safety professionals, the ball is now on us to increase the campaign. The ball is on us to talk more about it, because some people think it's just fun. Some people think that it's just going to be, it's just like a recreational activity. But in the process, there could be accident, there could be incident. So we should increase our campaign. We should talk more to our workers, our friends, our family members. We should let them know that the use of e-scooters and e-bikes there is a greater risk involved in the use. So that is why we are here, and that is why we are discussing this topic today. So that if we are informed, if we are enlightened, then we can pass the information across. Okay, so thank you all that have contributed so far. Now the floor is open for anyone that wants to contribute or that have a question. Anyone has a question or wants to contribute, the floor is open. You can just raise up your hand, so I will call on you. And because we are rounding off.
There's a request from Mr. Oliver. I think you need a slide for this presentation, this discussion today.
Okay, we'll share the slide. We'll share the slide with him. It's part of the education package, so we'll share it with anyone that needs the information.
Okay, so I have one or two things. Basically, like when I shared my slides, because of time, I was trying to rush up. Like in terms of the infrastructure, just like as Mr. Andrew have pointed out, there is no law, that protects the users or the riders of this mobility device within the road, which are meant to be used by other vehicle users. So, like you have said, if anything happened, how can you claim, for your for the cause of the accident? Now, one of the advice, or recommendation that could be given to government authorities, as a professional, should focus on when they're having we can see that in Qatar in recent time. There have been a lot of creation of a special road for cyclists, it's for them not to also get involved using the major roads or riding this within the street and all that. So I think this needs to be pushed out. This needs to be contributed, to discussion, to a group of policymakers or those people that develop guidance document or regulation to focus more on this area so that as we build our road, as we rehabilitate road, we should create a special track, for the users of this mobility device. Because in the real sense of it, it is not expected that you use it for a long distance, okay, within a short kilometer. So definitely within some strategic areas that we know that, okay, that the government knows that this area should have this part, this area should have this part. So with that, I think it will segregate the scooters rider from the other public road users. So by implementing such kind of infrastructure, I think it will also reduce the rate of accident of scooter users. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Mr. Stephen, for that wonderful contribution. Like in summary, like we've all said and like we've all heard, the rate of incident involving electric scooters and bikes are increasing. And if we are having these numbers at this time, when the number of people owning these scooters are still less, then what happens if it becomes so commercialized? If it's owned by everyone, just like people own bicycles and that and all that. So the most worrisome part of it is the fire incident. And fire is not just about the person, it's about the properties and about infrastructures at the same time. So there will be lots of property damage involving fires. Okay, so we need to take this message out there to let people know that scooters and electric bikes has serious risk associated with them. And for ourselves, if any of us are using bikes, we should electric bikes, we should also take precautionary measures and ensure that you are safe. Okay, this is very, very important. Okay, then if there is no question or comment, we'll be calling it a day. So before we end, we have other videos that we have we discussed, the other topics we discussed in the past. We have recorded videos lined up in our YouTube page. If you want to look at them, you can have a look at them. Our YouTube page is called Safeoclock. So even our Facebook page also, so you can see all the videos we've recorded so far. Next week, we'll be having another topic. We'll communicate the topic to us so that we'll participate next week, Thursday by 6 p.m. also. So thank you all for attending, and do have a nice day, and see you next time next week.
Thank you all.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, guys. Thank you.
Thank you.
Guys, actually, I just joined this program and I saw this online. It's very good what you guys are putting through. But I don't think basically if we